Blog Talk Radio.
Welcome to Real Combat Media Boxing Radio. This is episode 23. I'm your host, Christy Rosario in Los Angeles, joined by the boxing prophet from New York City, Richard Solomon. How are you, prophet?
Great, and yourself?
Good. Are you hearing me well today?
Yes, I'm hearing you fine. Looking forward to another great show.
You sound very far away to me. Like you're across the country, 3,000 miles. I guess you are.
Okay. We are far apart. You know, you are in California and I'm in New York, but I'll try my best.
Okay, now you're sounding better. Also joining us is Paulie Haberman. Am I saying your name right, or do you want to go by Paul?
Either one is fine by me. I'm not too particular.
Okay. Paulie Haberman from New Jersey. Now, tell me if I have this right. You're an attorney, you're a boxing manager,
yes.
You're 8-count news correspondent. Is this correct?
Yes. I write about legal issues in boxing and mixed martial arts for 8-count news.
All right. That's awesome. And Paulie is joining us today to be one of our panel guests. Anything else you want to tell us about yourself?
About myself? Well, as you noted, I am an attorney in New York, specializing in combat sports and among other sports and health law. I am a licensed New York boxing manager. I don't have anybody at the current time. I'm more comfortable handling people as counsel these days. And I've been doing my column for 8-Count News since after the 2008 games. Probably have had 60 to 70 articles on a variety of legal issues that have come up in boxing. A unique sport as far as the types and variety of issues that could come up any given weekend. So it's been a very interesting beat, to say the least.
All right. Well, that sounds good. You're going to be handy to have on the show today. Our topics today will be a little bit of the Showtime recap. We're going to talk about Pacquiao and Rios, their press tour, the Olympic controversy of not adding more weight classes for women's boxing, but it's really not just women's boxing. It's affecting a numerous amount of sports, not just women's boxing, but we will talk about that. Also about AIDA adding pros and starting a whole big conglomerate with their WSB, AOB, everything, APB. They have everything now. And we're also going to talk about the August 3rd NBC fight card coming up. We do have on our show today, coming up soon, I'm waiting for our illustrious champion, welterweight champion, Devon Alexander, and our former champion is Buddy McGIRT. They're going to both come up in just a minute. And Vinny Furlani, he's got a magazine that's going to be boxing and all about the 10-point must system and how to learn how to box according to that judging 10-point system. So he's going to come on a little later. Prophet, how's everything going over there? Did you say hello to Paulie?
How you doing, Paulie? It's a pleasure to have you on the show.
Happy to be here.
We're going to talk about...
I said you're both from New York. Well, no, Paulie's from New Jersey, so he's from the better
I'm from New York originally. I just moved to Jersey 2 years ago. So.
I'm sorry. Okay. Well, anyway,
no problem. Not
you guys are from New Jersey. That is the best state, by the way, besides Los Angeles, California. No, don't. Now everyone's going to be sending me little hate emails. I'm just kidding. Every state's perfect. Did you guys watch Showtime this weekend?
I did. Definitely an impression.
Yeah, I just caught up with it last night. I wasn't feeling that well over the weekend, so I DVR'd, and as per my homework each week, I caught up, and I thought it was, for all intent purposes, the triple header of the year. All three fights were great. One of them is definitely a candidate for Fight of the Year, which we will discuss in a little bit. And you know it's a great show when out of the 6 people that fought, only one fighter out of the 6 saw their stock drop a lot, which means that 2 of the fighters that lost retained, did pretty well for themselves, could fight on another day, and they made a name for themselves in defeat, where one fighter, which we will talk about, I'm sure in lengthy detail, for all intent purposes, should call it a night.
What did you think, Paulie? You enjoyed the show?
Yeah, and I pretty much have the same assessment as he does. I mean, you had 2 fighters that were basically not particularly well known in the United States coming in that really you'd like to see again, even in their losing efforts. And then, of course, the obvious one in the main event, you unfortunately saw him both take another loss and then also kind of get away from what made him good earlier in his career, the more of the disciplined boxing, and not mixing it up with guys that could really do the kind of damage that Jesus Soto Karass and others like him could do. I couldn't figure out why he was in there trading with a guy like that, having seen, Karass against a number of guys, including Maidana and Selçuk Aydin, I believe was the last one he fought. I just, I couldn't make sense of why you would take that approach against somebody like that. And
so for people who didn't watch the show, you may want to mention that, because you guys are both being so like secretive. It was Gilberto and Soto Karass, right? So you guys can actually say their names so people know what you're talking about.
Oh, certainly. Yeah, I mean, Berto, when he came out of the Olympics, he looked like he did a decent Mayweather impression early on, but, you saw here and there that he get hit and hurt, but he boxed a lot, and in his losses and his more recent fights, he seems to have gotten away from that, and it just doesn't seem to have done him a lot of good, even if it's made his fights more interesting. And one thing I'd throw out there, just talking as a fight fan, he actually, not in the way he was reacting in the ring, but facially, he looked just old and tired, or older and more tired than I'd seen him when he came into the ring. I was wondering what you guys would think about that observation. He just kind of he didn't look himself, like I was used to seeing him. Just on appearance,
yeah,
I mean.
I agree with you, and for all intent purposes, Soto Karass, to me, is your typical hard-nosed journeyman from Mexico. Every time he steps up his level of competition, he pretty much loses. But Andre Berto, and I said it on last week's show, Andre Berto needed to box. He seems to suffer from an identity crisis. One time he wants to box, other fights he wants to slug. Slugging didn't do him well against Victor Ortiz and Robert Guerrero. Karass is a dangerous guy. He threw over 1,000 punches during the length of the fight. And Berto fired his trainer after his last defeat, and even Virgil Hunter couldn't really change Andre Berto. He just doesn't know what to do. He looked lost as early as the opening round. He looked confused. He didn't know what to do. Karass was pretty much all over him from beginning to end. Berto did win some middle rounds, but what's kind of annoying to me is that at the during the 12th round, when the fight was stopped, the scoring at the time of the stoppage, to me, was reprehensible. The fact that one judge actually had Andre Berto ahead, 105-103, going into the 12th and final round. Another judge had it a draw at 104 apiece. And I think the third judge had a 105-103 for Soto Karass. on my scorecard, there's no way in the world you can give Andre Berto more than 4 rounds tops. I mean, I had it 106 to 103 for Soto Karass entering the 12th and final round. And with the knockdown, that would have been a 10-8 round for Karass. And I think if I added it up correctly, all Berto had to do was survive the 12th and final round. And I believe the fight would have been declared a draw. I'm very perplexed by the judging. That, the judging continues to rattle me. I just don't understand how anyone thought that this was a competitive fight. I thought, for the most part, Soto Karass dominated a majority of the fight.
Yeah, I mean, I got to admit, I didn't score it round by round, but that's the impression I had, certainly watching it, is that there didn't seem to be any time where Berto consistently asserted himself in back-to-back rounds. And Soto Karass appeared to be inflicting the more damage. So where those scorecards came from is a mystery, I'm sure, to a lot of people right now.
Yes, and I wanted to, and I have the judges, and it is official. It was 105-103 for Berto, 105-103 for Soto Karass, and 104-104 even going into the 12th and final round. So there's obviously some people out there who are very politically corrected that really wanted Andre Berto to somehow win this fight. I just didn't see it. Berto, well, we can never question Berto's guts, as shown in his losses, to Guerrero and Ortiz, and even, blowing out his shoulder and still fighting on against Karass. But like I said, he just, and you said, Paul, he just doesn't know what kind of fighter he wants to be. Does he want to box? Does he want to slug? I said last week that the more boring the fight is, the more it behooves Berto. He's got to box. And even though I did pick Berto to win, I kind of predicted him to win with a little asterisk that if Soto Karass was to lure Berto into a street fight, do not be surprised if Karass pulls off the upset. And that's what he did. And now, losing 3 out of his last 4 fights, I would hope that Berto retires, because it'd be sad to watch Berto be a stepping stone for young up-and-coming fighters.
No, we definitely don't want to see Berto being a stepping stone. But you know what? Hold on a minute, because great conversation on the Berto Soto Karass fight, but I want to bring on our guest, who is the current IBF welterweight world champion. He has huge wins over Lucas Matese, Randall Bailey, and Marcus Maidana, and it is Devon Alexander. How are you, Devon?
Hello, you guys. How's it going? Thanks for having me.
Hi, glad to have you on. You're here with the boxing prophet and Paulie Haberman today, and myself, Christy Rosario. Nice to have you on, Devon.
Pleasure to be on right now. Pleasure to be on. I was listening to you guys talk. Pleasure to be on.
Well, I remember you when you were
online.
Sorry, Paulie, go ahead.
I was just saying good to meet your acquaintance on the phone here.
Oh, for sure. Same here.
Devon, I remember you from the amateurs. I remember you as a referee, refereeing your bouts. So I think it's kind of cool to have you on here today. And I was looking at your record, which we should tell everybody. I'm sure everyone knows, but I'll just mention it again, that you have won 25, you have 14 KOs and only lost once. Now, your pro debut was in 2004. So were you trying to get to the Olympics before that time?
I definitely was. Actually, that was my lifelong dream to become an Olympian and win a gold medal. But, that didn't happen. I lost to Rock Allen in the Olympic trials finals. So, that kind of rendered my way to going to the Olympics. So I just decided to turn pro. I thought I was ready. I thought it was just time. I believed in my skills. So I said, okay, the Olympics, wasn't my lifelong dream. But, where it was, but, it didn't happen that way, so I had to move forward. And, here I am now, 3-time world champion, so I can't complain. Of course I wanted that gold medal, but I still can't complain, especially the position I'm in.
It's hard, though, when you want to be an Olympian. I understand that. But now I was trying to think of myself, and I have a picture with you. Was it did you win the National PAL Olympic qualifier, Olympic trials qualifier?
Actually, it was a U.S. championship. The U.S. championship. Yeah, the one I qualified for. So,
okay.
I went to. I tried to go to Gloves first, and I lost to Lorenzo Reynolds. Then I went to the PAL, and I lost to. Actually, I won the PAL. But I got to go back and think. But U.S. Championships was my, Olympic trial qualifier that I won. I beat Charles Hadley in the finals.
Charles Hadley. I remember Charles.
Yeah.
And Greg and his dad. But
yep,
I do think you won the PAL because I could have sworn that I was your referee in the finals for one of those events. So, and I have a picture. I got to dig it up somewhere.
Yeah, I think I won outstanding box for that tournament too. I think, if I'm not mistaken. So I have to go back and see, but I'll get back to you on that one.
Okay. And now you're talking about Rock Allen. Now you're sure it wasn't Tiger that
No,
that
it was definitely Rock Allen because I would never forget it because he actually stole something took a piece from me that I took a piece from me when I lost. So I definitely wouldn't forget the name Rock Allen. And
I know, but the joke is, Devin, you know how Rock and Tiger were twins, right?
Oh, for sure.
Okay.
And then, I definitely remember. Yeah, right. They switch up, but it was definitely Rock Allen. I will never forget it.
Didn't you have though an issue where one of them weighed in for the other one at one point? And please don't quote me.
Yep. There was one open tournament that they was weighing in for each other. One didn't make the weight, and one was trying to make weight, so the other one, got on the scale for him, which was crazy. So yeah, I remember that.
Mm-hmm. But man, many of us, probably, if we had a brother that could weigh in for us, may do that,
Right.
Anyway, so you went through your pro debut, and here you are now, a champion. Are you looking for Amir Khan? What is going on with that?
Well, the negotiation's still on their way as of right now. My coach and Al Heyman and Golden Boy, Richard Schaefer took the trip over there to Dubai last week and scoped the place out. And, I'm just waiting on him to get back to me to see what the verdict was because, I am champion. And for me to go over there, like my coach was loudly speaking, it has to take some crazy money because, why else would I go over there? I'm champion. But if the princes and queens wanted over there, I would be happy to come over there if they was to, pay me for it, So we'll just see. But as of right now, I don't plan on going over there. But I can't say I won't go over there if the price isn't right. So as of right now, they're still negotiating. I want to fight Khan. I'm anxious to fight Khan because I know I can beat him. So we'll just have to see, whenever the negotiations get done, and I'll know more about it.
Well, now, is Amir Khan, is he kind of like a golden boy, UK hype, overrated, or is he really what people expect from him? What do you think?
Oh, you want to be honest? He's like another Birdo. I can say what you guys was talking about Birdo, he's another Birdo. It's like he's confused. He don't know himself. He's trying to find himself. And same thing with Birdo happening, Khan's happening. He's changing trainers. He's hitting the pad with anybody. I just saw a video where he was hitting the pad with some guy who wasn't Virgil Hunter. I'm not sure even Virgil Hunter even knew about it. So, it's just his mind isn't there, and he's just confused, and it's kind of the same instance as Birdo. And you see that in the fights. You see that in the fight. He does, anything in the ring. I don't think you really have a game plan. He just hits, gets out, hits and gets out. And, to me, that's not going to work at a top level, and that's why he keep losing when he get to this type of level.
Well, what did you think about Birdo? Did you think Virgil should have maybe thrown in the towel a little earlier, or did you agree with the split, maybe the draw at the end if they didn't stop him?
I was surprised. I was surprised at the end that, they did have it a draw. I mean, almost a draw. And I was definitely surprised because I thought, Karras was landing the cleaner shots. Berto did rally a little bit, in between rounds, so you have to give him a few rounds because he was landing cleanly too. So, but I definitely thought Karras was ahead, on the scorecards, and I thought comfortably that he was going to have a decision when the final bell was rung. So, with Virgil Hunter, I mean, I can't speak for him. I don't know how Berto felt in the corner, or was he taking too much punishment? Or I don't know. I don't know, but he was taking, some punches, and, he kept getting dropped, and, he kept getting hurt. So, you just can't say, as a fighter, you can't say what you won't do or, what you will do because you're not in that position. So I try not to state my opinion about stopping the fight or will to stop the fight.
Right, and you can't take away any of Berto's heart. He has such heart, and, heart can go a long way. So I don't
for sure
ever want to put anyone down for that. On another note, though, I want to talk about someone who I'm not sure has the heart to fight you because she's canceled twice. What is it, the ankle or this or that? Is you scared? What's going on, Devon?
Well, that fight just confuses me all around the board. I mean, we were supposed to fight in January, but he canceled because he had an ankle injury. And me, I hurt my bicep, in February. I was training, and and I partially tear my bicep, but it wasn't nothing major, so I had to postpone it. But then he comes back again and says he's hurt. So to me, he wasn't ready. His team knew he wasn't ready. His team knew he wasn't ready for this type of level that I was on, and you can tell in their actions after they had canceled my fight what they did. What they did was went to go get Carson Jones, who has 9 or 10 losses, and try to fight him instead of fighting me. So the proof is in the pudding that they wasn't ready. They should try and recoup, and I don't know, man. That team over there is weird. The whole situation with me and him was weird. The Kell Brooks fight was weird to me, and I guess it was just wasn't meant for it to happen. So I'm on from that. The only reason why we was entertaining the Kell Brooks fight is because he was mandatory. I didn't hear about Kell Brooks until he was my mandatory. I didn't know nothing about him, no knowledge of him. So I think I made him famous because he was fighting me, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think you made him famous because he hasn't fought you, because he keeps coming up in conversations.
And I never heard him until he was my mandatory, and I was like, who's Kell Brooks? They was talking about I gotta fight this guy, so I looked him up and stuff, and that's how I heard about him.
Yeah, I know. I've heard of you being the researcher, so I'm sure you looked him up right away, huh?
Oh, for sure. I mean, you can't take nobody lightly. Nobody, and once I sign on to fight anybody, I'm on the tune and I'm studying and I'm breaking that guy down. My coach is a master strategist, and he knows how to break any fighter down. So, he sits and breaks it down, and we come up with a game plan. We had a master game plan for Kell Brooks, but it didn't happen. So, we fought Lee Purdy.
Well, since, you guys are such good strategists, and you fought and you defeated Lucas Matisse, now he's fighting Garcia. I'm thinking of the wrong guy. So he's fighting Danny Garcia. What would you say that Matisse has to do to beat Garcia?
Well, that's a good fight. I mean, everybody's talking about it. Everybody's talking about the fight, and that's going to be a good one. Danny Garcia, who has power himself, has a little bit of skill himself, is not going to lay down. And Luca Matisse is wild. He comes in, he don't have the best foot movement. He don't have the best coordination or whatever, but he just comes and he has power, and that makes for a good fight. So I'm not sure who to go with in that fight because both of them can hurt each other. Both of them can hurt. Both of them got popped. So I just don't see who can win that fight. You just gotta wait and see, and hope for the best, I guess. But that's a tough one to call.
Okay, so you're kind of staying on the fence about those two, huh? No complete decision.
Yeah, because Garcia can catch Matisse with one of those hooks, and Matisse can catch Garcia with one of those right hand or hooks, either one. So we'll see. We'll just have to see.
I thought I was supposed to answer like an attorney.
Yeah, that is like an attorney. All right, Devon, my next question I'm going to ask you, since I was about to say his name, but I got the wrong boxer, Marcus Maidana. Okay, you beat him as well. So what happens with a potential fight with Broner? How will that one play out?
That is a good fight. Everybody knows that Adrian Broner is, like a little brother to me. We grew up together, amateur together. That Cincinnati used to come to St. Louis all the time and fight against St. Louis. So he's like a little brother to me. And, I think Broner definitely wins that easy if he's smart and, uses his thinking in the ring. He wins that easily. I really don't see no threat.
Devon, before we go on, you're talking about Adrian Broner being like a little brother. And since you are such a nice guy and you can be his mentor, can you tell me what he's doing in, like, strip clubs, throwing away money? Where's the role model there, Devon? Come on.
It's about people you're around. I mean, I can't speak about it, I guess that's it's not me. You tell him, slow it down and, do this and do that, but at the end of the day, he's grown. I mean, he's going to do what he want to do, but you can't tell him. I try to tell him sometimes, do this, do that, slow it down, be careful. But, at the end of the day, he's still grown. He pays his own bills. And, that's just what he wants to do, I don't know. That's a question you have to ask him. I don't know.
Oh, I would love to ask Adrian all sorts of questions, but since he's not here, you see, my son gave me a hard time because last week we were talking about Adrian Broner and his behavior. But since you're good friends, I just wonder, it's like, his mom still lives in the same house. Can we just give his mom the money instead of throwing it away? Can we pay our child support for all 5 kids instead of just throwing away our money? I mean, he's obviously talented. I really like his coach, Mike Stafford. But, Devon, the boy needs some direction. The young man.
Yeah. To each his own. I can't. That's his business, that I'm gonna always support him. I'm there for him 24/7. So, I don't know. Everybody's. I guess everybody's different. I'm a humble guy. He's flamboyant and he speaks. So I guess I don't know.
Okay, there's a lawyer out of you now again. That's okay, Devon. But now tell us. So you really think that Marcus Maidana is going to get trampled by Adrian Broner, or do you think it'll be competitive? And what could Maidana do to beat Broner? What do you think? Hello?
I'm still here. Or do we still have Devon?
I'm still here. You hear it, Prophet?
Yeah, I'm here. I think we might have lost him.
Yeah, what happened to him? Maybe my questions were just a little too intense, or what? Let's try and get Devon back on. Hold on. What did you guys think so far about our interview?
So far, so good.
I think the interview is going well. There are some the questions that Devon must address, but for the most part, the way he's sticking up for Broner is admirable, and I've gone on this show on numerous occasions and said
639 is not available. At the tone.
Uh-oh. He's not available. Well, Devon, it was a good interview. I hope you come back. So I know you had questions, both of you, but especially you, Prophet. I'm sure you wanted to ask him about Lucas Matese, huh?
Yeah, there are some naysayers out there who, myself included to a certain extent, thought that, he got the benefit of the doubt in decision victories not only against Lucas Matese, but against Katolnik as well. They were both very close, hard fights to score, but at the end of the day, I had Alexander losing both of those fights, and he redeemed himself by pretty much destroying Randall Bailey and Marcos Madonna and Lee Purdy, and that's what he needs to do against Amir Khan to silence the critics. The resume speaks for itself. He's been in there with a lot of good, solid names, but the fact that a lot of people question the legitimacy of his victories over Matisse and Katolnik, and the fact that Timothy Bradley holds a victory over Alexander, he just needs to make another statement like he did with his beating of Madonna. And I think especially if he goes over to England and fights Amir Khan, and what he said was brilliant. For all intent purposes, Amir Khan is sort of like Andre Berto. He's searching for an identity. He doesn't know whether he should box or slug. He got knocked out by Prescott and Danny Garcia, especially in the Garcia fight. He had some early success boxing. Garcia lured him into a street fight and then caught him with his brutal left hook. And even in Khan's last fight against the journeyman Garcia, he was hurt on more than one occasion. And I don't know really how much at this stage of his career Amir Khan has left. It might, I know Devon is looking for a big payday, but I think he can go over to England, and unless, the three blind mice find a way to give it to Khan, I think Devon can dominate Amir Khan, and if he even if he lures Khan into a street fight, I think he has enough power to catch Khan and actually even knock him out. I think it's a good business move for Devon to go to England, fight Amir Khan, beat Amir Khan, and then if you listen to all social media outlets, they're saying that the winner of Amir Khan against Devon Alexander, if that fight comes to fruition, will probably take on the winner of Mayweather-Canelo in their next respective fights. So we'll just have to see what happens down the road.
We'll have to see. And actually, they'd be fighting in Dubai, which would be really cool, I think. Have to fight in Dubai? I don't know. Indeed. I think it sounds really neat. But, yeah, Devon would have to really, I'd say he has to beat Khan, with 100% to be in Dubai, because I have a feeling that they may really like Amir Khan over there in Dubai. So I'm not sure. But you know what? It's been good so far. Unfortunately, we lost Devon Alexander, but got to hear a lot from him. But we're going to go to a commercial, and we're going to come back. I have to give you guys a number. I keep forgetting to give everyone the number. So if you want to call and talk to us, you can call 347-324-5998. Again, 347-324-5998. Don't be afraid to call. It's okay if you disagree with us. We're okay with that. You can find us on Twitter at Real Combat Media, or my Twitter is Boxing Girl, BXINGIRL. Boxing Prophet is Boxing Prophet 68 on Twitter, or on Facebook. Go to Real Combat Media in the search bar. We will be back in about a minute and 32 seconds after the commercial.
This is Real Combat Media Radio. Check us out at realcombatmedia.com. While you're there, check out the Feed the Poor link on the bottom of every article, and you can send a donation if you're interested. That is, once again, on the bottom of every article as well as on the top of the website. If you are an MMA, boxing, or fitness business and interested in sponsoring our website or radio podcast, send us an email. Advertising at realcombatmedia.com. Once again, that is advertising at realcombatmedia.com. Make sure to check out the Real Combat Media MMA and boxing store at the top of the menu at realcombatmedia.com. We carry a collection of products. We have the Cardio Mask, which is excellent for all fighters, endurance athletes, and serious fitness enthusiasts. Once you are in the Real Combat Media store, click on the banner on that page. We also carry Alpha Brain. Alpha Brain is a great and natural product which activates your brain's neurotransmitters and helps you think more clearly, which improves brain function. You can also purchase the world's healthiest plant protein, which comes from hemp. There are many other products on the online store, and click on the On It banner at the Real Combat Media store and you can purchase Alpha Brain and other health products. Use the discount code Real Combat Media and you will receive 10% off at the checkout store on the On It, that is ONNIT, on the banner at Real Combat Media store. Buckle up, here we go. Let's get this show started.
Welcome back to Real Combat Media Boxing Radio, episode 23. I am Christy Rosario, here with our co-host and panel guest. We have Richard, the Boxing Prophet Solomon from New York City, and Paulie Haberman, who is currently in New Jersey, but from New York City. We're here today. You guys back?
I'm back.
We're
Hello.
back.
Okay.
Yeah, we're
Want to
back.
make sure, Paulie, you still there?
Yes, I'm still here. Yep.
Okay. Just got to do a little sound off since I can't see you guys. All right. So if you want to call us, you can call it 347-324-5998, Twitter at Real Combat Media, or just check us out on Facebook at Real Combat Media in the search bar. I'm hoping we have our next guest, who is the world champion and world-class trainer, Buddy McGIRT. Let's see if he's
Bad
actually
connection.
here.
To disconnect, press 1. To record your message.
Wow, we're having such issues today with our guests. Well, you guys are here with me, right?
Yep.
We're still here.
Oh, don't
I
fall
just wanted
asleep.
to-
Oh, God, everyone sounds so enthusiastic.
I just wanted to clear up something with regards to Devon's amateur career, because I do follow, as you know, Christy, the Olympic boxing team with a passion. And in the 2004 Olympic trials, not only did Devon lose to Rock Allen with a chance to represent the Olympic boxing team on the line, he lost on a tiebreaker. I believe that it was tied, and I believe because Rock Allen scored a knockdown, he won the fight and went on to represent, the American boxing team in 2004 based on a tiebreaker. So I applaud Devon for turning pro, because, a loss like that might have made me, change my thinking about going into the pros. But he did, and he's been very, very successful. And, he's had the same trainer for years and years, and he's a great amateur record, 300 wins and 10 losses, kind of speaks for itself.
Yeah, it's fantastic. I just wish we could still talk to him or Buddy McGIRT. I don't know where Buddy went. We do have Vinny. I'm like, gosh, now I'm struggling over my own name, the name I'm trying. Vinny Furlani. I'm sure hoping I'm saying his name right. Maybe you could try Vinny and see if Vinny's available. What do you think, Prophet? Should we try Vinny?
Why not? Give him a call.
Let's try Vinny. And if not, we're just going to talk about our topics because I'm tired of these people. All right,
well,
we're going to try Vinny.
Keep in mind, we still have the other. We keep in mind we have the other two fights that took place over the weekend on Showtime to discuss.
We have a lot of topics to talk about, so we can always, let's see if Vinny's available. We'll try Vinny, and then if Vinny's available, we'll talk to him. If not, we're just going to go into our topics because this is just too funny. Let's see. Vinny, let's try him. I never usually call while we're live, but I thought, you know what? Let's just call him. Let's see what's going on. All right, let's dial. Let's see what happens. All right. I don't hear it ringing yet. Do you guys? No? Oh, it's okay. It can always be one of those days, right? But it's okay. Vinny's going to come on eventually as soon as we dial. Paulie, are you having fun today?
Yes, indeed. Interesting conversation so far, even if you've been hindered by phone issues here.
It's very interesting. But you know what? Buddy McGIRT just texted me and said to call him. So we're going to try Buddy now again, okay? We're going to try Buddy. We're going to see, third time's a charm, right? All right. So here we go. We're calling Buddy McGIRT, former welterweight champion. Today is the day of welterweight. All right, I'm going to call him. He says, call me. So I'm calling him. All right, Buddy, here we go. Let's see if he's there. And then we'll get into all our topics and have a wonderful day. It's so funny when we're doing all this on the air. So hopefully you guys are bearing with us. I'm sure we'll have a good conversation with Buddy McGIRT. Let's see if he answers. Buddy, answer. I don't even hear it. All right, let's see if he's here. Is this Buddy McGIRT?
Hello? Yes, it is.
Buddy, how are you? Are you there?
Right with
I'm here. I apologize. I had my phone on silent.
Oh, figures. We're having such a heck of a day with calls, so of course that would happen. Well, let me just tell everyone, because I'm so prepared, this is Buddy McGIRT. He is a former champion, welterweight champion. He has 73 wins, 48 KOs, and only lost 6. Plus, he has an awesome amateur career of 53 wins, 9 losses, 1 draw, and pro debuted in March 2nd of 1982. Did I get that all correct?
73 wins. You said 63.
73 wins. That's right. That's what I said. 73 and 48 KOs. Well, that was your
61.
Yeah, well, that was your pro, but I also said your amateur as well, because people don't realize that you had a huge amateur career, too.
Yeah. But
So,
I never won the New York gloves.
Oh, but you got to fight in them in Madison Square Garden?
Huh?
But you did get to fight in them in Madison Square Garden, didn't you?
Oh, I fought in Madison Square Garden plenty of times.
But, I mean, did you do the Daily News Golden Gloves there?
Yes, at the Felt Forum.
Oh, okay. So it wasn't at Madison Square Garden yet then?
No, I never made it to the finals of the Golden Gloves.
Okay. Yeah, that's quite a prestigious event over there.
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome. So you sound kind of far away. How are you today? I met you at the Junior Golden Gloves, which is pretty exciting.
Oh, where are you at now?
Oh, now I'm in Los Angeles, but I met you over there at the Junior Golden Gloves.
Yes.
You had a huge team from New Jersey. You guys did well, didn't you?
Yes, we did well, but could have done better. But that's the story. With the amateurs, you know how it is. Some judges see it like any other sport. So, but it is what it is. We had a great time. The kids got a good experience, so that's all that matters.
That's true. That's all that matters. And what's going on now with you and your pros? How many pros do you have?
I have about 6-7 pros right now. I'm training a kid named John Thompson and Antoine Douglas. They're both fighting February. September 13th in Newark, New Jersey.
How many fights do they have?
John is 12-0, and Antoine is 8-0.
Oh, okay. Very cool. So you have those two. Now, do you have any more?
Yes, I have working with a kid, Shakur Jackson, that's 1-0. I'm working with Elvin Maricki. I can't tell you his record right now because I'll be lying if I told it to you.
Okay.
And a couple other guys that are just really starting out,
And you're in Nutley, right? Nutley, New Jersey?
Excuse me? I'm in New Jersey, right? I'm in New Jersey, yes.
In Nutley,
I
right?
just opened in New Jersey, but I still reside in Florida for right now.
Okay. You sound like you're doing a million things. Are you driving?
Yes, I'm driving. Yes, I'm driving. I gotta go to a meeting right now to the city.
A meeting? It's supposed to be here
yes.
giving undivided attention, buddy. Okay.
So what I did was I had my phone on silent when you. I can't hear you.
Okay, I can hear you. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you now. Yes.
Okay, good. All right,
Can you call?
All right.
I'm listening. Go ahead.
Okay, no, I was listening to you. Okay, I'll ask you a question then while we have you still. So how did you get the nickname Throw in the Towel McGIRT?
What was my nickname?
That's what I heard. Throw in the Towel McGIRT.
I didn't hear. That's the first time I ever heard that one.
I thought it was because people have to throw in the towel. You're hitting them so hard. You know why people? No. I'm gonna tell you why people gave me that name. They gave me that name because, as a trainer of fights that the person whoever gave me that name was a hater, for the simple fact that I don't believe in seeing a fighter get hurt. So, if a fighter's getting hurt and you know your fighter has no chance of winning, why would you keep him in the ring? For what reason? Right.
I mean,
agree.
I tell fighters this. I says, listen, I'd rather you be mad at me for stopping the fight than your family mad at me for the rest of my life.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean?
Agree.
But a lot of people just don't get it because they don't know what the hell they're looking at.
Right.
I mean, you have some guys in fights that you say, I look at the fighter's legs, you know what I mean, his reaction time, I look at everything. So, if I see that your legs are not responding, why let the fight continue? For what reason?
I agree. You'd rather see them alive than, especially as a referee, the same thing. People don't know what they're looking at when you stop a fight.
Hello?
So, I'm
Hello?
here. Do you have any questions?
I thought I lost you for a minute.
No, we're here.
I lost you.
No, I'm here. Prophet, are you there?
Yeah, I'm still here. I have a couple of questions for Buddy McGIRT.
How are you,
James? Yeah, growing up in New York, James, I always used to go to the Felt Forum, watch you fight there. I was actually at the Purnell Sweet Pea Whitaker's fight at the Garden, and I really think till this day that if you didn't tear up your left shoulder in training, you probably could have been one of the few people to ever hand Sweet Pea Whitaker a loss. What do you think about that fight?
Well, I agree with you 150%. I mean, but the funny thing is this: if I knew my injury was that serious, the fight would have never taken place. See, I was told I only had tendinitis, and after the fact, I went to another doctor that HBO recommended, and he looked at the MRIs that the other doctor had, and he goes, "Your rotator cuff is torn." So, which means that
I just wanted to also point out that you, to me, are one of those old school boxers. I remember when you early in your career, you had a loss to Frankie Warren where he basically mugged you, wouldn't let you use your jab and box, and you totally destroyed him in a rematch. And my favorite James Buddy McGIRT victory is definitely when you won the welterweight championship over Simon Brown. To me, it's a must-see viewing for old trainers, old school trainers that want to show their fighters how to use jabs and lateral movements to win fights. It was a virtuoso performance, and I was very impressed with that. And I also you've been quoted also as saying that anybody train, but very few people can teach, and that's what you try and do when you train is to also teach. And this is probably one of the quickest roads to the title ever. In my understanding, and correct me if I'm wrong, that you took over Byron Mitchell's career, like I think for 6 days, and you trained Byron Mitchell for 6 days, and 6 days later, after you started training Byron Mitchell, he went on to score a knockout victory to win the super middleweight championship. How great is that? That doesn't happen. That happens once in a blue moon, if ever.
Thank you, sir. And the funny part is when I met him that Sunday, that was the first day I ever met him. And Carl King said to me, buddy, you got to train Byron. He's fighting for the title. I said, when? He goes, Saturday. I said, what Saturday? He said, next Saturday. So we went to work. No sparring, no nothing. But thank you. I really appreciate the support, sir.
Yeah, I like I said, you're a local. We're both from Long Island, so I was probably one of your biggest fans growing up. And you trained a lot of champions. You've had a lot of hard luck losses. Training as well as big victories. Is it safe to say that your biggest victory as a trainer was Antonio Tarver's victory over Roy Jones?
Thank you, sir. Say that again. I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
Is it safe to say that, from your own personal opinion, is your biggest win as a trainer Antonio Tarver's victory over Roy Jones?
Yes, that's one of them, yes, for sure. Because that was when, Roy was touted as being the best. And no one gave Antonio a chance. Right.
And he went on to beat him twice, because they fought three times, and he beat him twice. But getting back to your fighting career, like I said, my biggest fighting moment was when you thoroughly destroyed Simon Brown to win the welterweight title. Is there any victory professionally that stands up, in your mind, like your favorite moment as a pro?
I'm sorry, I can't hear you. So I'm on the highway. Repeat that question, please. I'm sorry.
Your favorite moment as a professional fighter, your signature win, the moment where you were most proud of yourself as a boxer or as a fighter.
I would say my best win. I mean, everyone says my best fight was the Simon Brown fight, but the best win that I felt was the rematch against Frankie Warren, because he was the first guy to beat me, and when I went back to Texas, no one gave me a shot.
Right. Well, being the boxing prophet, I did predict you to avenge that defeat by pretty easily, and you did do that. And then just one more question for me, and then I'll switch you back to Chris.
I'm on the turnpike. Go ahead, sir.
Yeah, how did it feel? Howard Davis Jr., as we all know, represented the Olympic boxing team in '76. Never went on to win a professional title. He fought you, and I believe it was either at the Bell Forum or the Garden, and you knocked him out. And you knocked him out in one round.
Yeah. Well, the funny thing with that is that I sparred with Howard Davis when I was a kid. So I knew he was fast. I boxed him when he was getting ready to fight Sean O'Grady. And then when we were sparring, he had someone mess up his ribs. One of the guys, I don't know who it was between us sparring guys with him. And and so when I got to fight with him, I knew that I had to jump on him quick. I couldn't let him get started.
That was a great win for you, and I'll throw it back to Christy and see if she has any other questions for you. But thanks, James, for taking the time to talk to us. I appreciate it.
All right, thank you, sir. I appreciate it.
Hi, Paulie. Do you have any questions for Buddy?
I don't. I defer to you guys for that. I'm just playing guest here. Buddy, good to hear your thoughts.
Well, Buddy, I want to thank you very much. It's a little hard to hear with you driving, but I want to thank you for coming on. Hopefully sometime you can come back when you don't have a meeting.
All right, my pleasure. Anytime.
Thank you, Buddy. Well, I hope you have a wonderful day. This is Buddy McGIRT. We will talk to him again soon. Take care, Buddy. Thank you.
All right, take care. Bye-bye.
Bye. We're going to go to commercial now. We'll be back in a minute and 32 seconds.
This is Real Combat Media Radio. Check us out at realcombatmedia.com. While you're there, check out the Feed the Poor link on the bottom of every article, and you can send a donation if you're interested. That is, once again, on the bottom of every article as well as on the top of the website. If you are an MMA, boxing, or fitness business and interested in sponsoring our website or radio podcast, send us an email. advertising at realcombatmedia.com. Once again, that is advertising at realcombatmedia.com. Make sure to check out the Real Combat Media MMA and boxing store at the top of the menu at realcombatmedia.com. We carry a collection of products. We have the Cardio Mask, which is excellent for all fighters, endurance athletes, and serious fitness enthusiasts. Once you are in the Real Combat Media store, click on the banner on that page. We also carry Alpha Brain. Alpha Brain is a great and natural product which activates your brain's neurotransmitters and helps you think more clearly, which improves brain function. You can also purchase the world's healthiest plant protein, which comes from hemp. There are many other products on the online store, and click on the On It banner at the Real Combat Media store and you can purchase Alpha Brain and other health products. Use the discount code Real Combat Media and you will receive 10% off at the checkout store on the On It, that is ONNIT, on the banner at Real Combat Media store. Buckle up, here we go. Let's get this show started.
Hello, and welcome back to Real Combat Media Boxing Radio. This is episode 23. I'm Christy Rosario, your host, here in Los Angeles with the boxing prophet from New York City. And we have our panel guest today, Paulie Haberman. He's from New York, currently living in New Jersey. You can call us at 347-324-5998. Again, 347-324-5998. You can find us on Twitter at Real Combat Media. My Twitter is Boxing Girl, BXINGIRL, and we have Boxing Prophet 68 on Twitter. Or you can get us on Facebook at Real Combat Media in the search bar. We just had Devon Alexander and Buddy McGIRT. Today's like a day of welterweights, and I think the best thing to do is to kind of go on to our topics coming up. Prophet, you there? Paulie, you still there? We're all around?
We're still here. I just wanted to make one more point, Christy, if I could.
You're far away, Prophet. You sound far away.
I just wanted to make one more point before we go on to our next topic. Can you hear me?
I can hear you now, yes.
Yes, as you know, I went to the Hall of Fame induction ceremony this past June, and it was nice that they honored the late, great Arturo Gatti, and, you know, he's in the Hall of Fame, not really because of his resume, but because of his crowd-pleasing style. He was a true warrior, and I like to see James Buddy McGIRT one day be inducted into the International Boxing Hall of Fame the same way Gotti was because of his crowd-pleasing style. James Buddy McGIRT is one of those throwback fighters who encourages fighters to throw the jab, use lateral movement, back when boxing was referred to as the sweet science, the art of hit and not being hit. And his resume includes victories over such talented fighters as Simon Brown, Livingstone Bramble, Saul Manby, Howard Davis Jr., Frankie Warren, you know, the list goes on and on. So if an Arturo Gatti can be inducted into the Hall of Fame, a serious argument can be made for James Buddy McGIRT's enshrinement one day soon in the International Boxing Hall of Fame, based on his skill, because very few fighters today, Andre Ward once said it, or actually he said it more than once on an HBO boxing telecast, and I agree with him. Slowly but surely, the jab is becoming a lost art form in boxing. And I think James Buddy McGIRT is one of those guys back in the day who really emphasized using the jab. And as you know, Christy, as a boxer yourself and as an instructor, you can't really emphasize enough how important the jab is to start everything, not only start everything off in boxing, but also use it as a weapon.
Exactly. You know, we had Ben Lira, my coach, on, and he explained the jab, and the jab is so effective, and there's not a lot of people that actually use the jab properly these days. So you are very correct, Prophet. I agree. Anything else, Prophet, before we go on? Excuse me?
No, I'm just saying we live, we fight fans today follow a lot of fighters that suffer from basically what Roy Jones. I think I like to call it Roy Jones-itis, if it makes sense. Guys go to the gym, they realize they have great hand speed, they have freakish athletic ability, and they say to themselves, why do I need to throw a jab? I have a great defense, no one touches me, and I could just pot shot my opponent and score points. And basically a great example, and I think we touched on this briefly on our last show, was when Adrian Broner recently defeated Paulie Malignaggi. I think he could have made it a much easier fight if he had thrown the jab, but I think he only threw. CompuBox statistics showed that Broner only threw maybe 40 or 50 jabs the whole entire fight, and what should have been on that, on talent and athletic ability alone, a 9-3 fight for Broner, he turned it into like a 7-5 type of fight where he basically put himself in a position to lose the fight because he believed his own press clippings that he didn't use the jab. Guys like Broner, Yuriorkis, Gamboa, so many talented fighters I can name on this program that need to throw the jab, but for whatever reason they don't, because it's all about hand speed, defense, and pot shotting, and that has to disappear. We need to bring the art of throwing the jab back to the sport of boxing that I love so dearly.
Yeah, I agree. You won't hear me arguing that, Prophet. But let's go on to the Showtime card. So let's talk about Omar Figueroa in the 12-round unanimous decision against Nikito Arakawa. And I have to tell you, wow, we got to bring Nikito Arakawa back to the United States. I mean, it was a fantastic fight. I know some people think it should have been stopped a little earlier. I was watching him being interviewed and kept thinking, I just wanted him to go to the hospital. With his eyes closing like that, I was a little concerned. But it was a fantastic fight, I have to say. What do you think, Prophet?
Definitely, without question, my second favorite fight this year. It surpasses Alvarado Rios 2 and Ledbedev Jones as my second favorite fight, with Braley Provatnikov being my fight of the year. Over 2,000 punches were thrown combined in this fight. Figueroa broke all sorts of CompuBox records by landing like 54% of his power punches. Not that much was known about Arakawa. I hope I pronounced his name right. I thought Figueroa misses Arakawa, and this is where, the boxing prophet has to get a little, sometimes gets a little humbled. I thought Figueroa was going to go in there. It was a showcase fight for him and dispatch of Arakawa in 5 or 6 one-sided rounds, but he came to fight, and the only reason why it's not my fight of the year overall is because, for all intents and purposes, I'd like to classify this fight as a competitive mismatch. And what I mean by that is, on the scorecards, I had Figueroa winning 8-4, and by scoring the 2 knockdowns in rounds 2 and 6, both with beautifully placed right hands, he gets 10-8 rounds. So overall, I had Figueroa winning the fight by 6 points. So I had a moral dilemma. The action was great, lots of ebb and flow, lots of back and forth, lots of pure, unadulterated, sheer violence. But at the end of the day, if one guy's winning the fight on my scorecard by 6 points, do I really name it the fight of the year? It has to be at least, a competitive fight to be fight of the year. But it was just brutal. I found myself at the edge of my bed, yelling and screaming for both fighters, and I couldn't believe what I was watching. The fans were pretty much standing every single round, and round 3, I remember it. Round 3 is definitely, without a question of a doubt, the round of the year. Both men tore into each other, and it was just a great fight, and I just hope both are the same. A lot of people who are in wars like this, they don't come back ever the same. And Figueroa, even though he thoroughly, in my mind, won the fight pretty easily, did get hit a lot. So let's just hope, and like you said, the Arakawa, I just wanted to see him go to the hospital instead of being interviewed, but a great deal of sportsmanship was shown after the fight. They hugged, and Figueroa said nice fight. I don't know if Arakawa understood him, but it was just a war that, in my mind, was unexpected because I predicted kind of a mismatch. I thought Figueroa would dispatch him really easily, but going back to the beginning of the show, this is the type of fight where not only Figueroa's stock rose, but the Japanese fighter's stock went up as well. I wouldn't mind seeing any one of these guys in the ring again at any time.
Now, Nahito Arakawa said to Figueroa, "Arigato." He said, "Thank you." No, I'm just kidding. I don't know what he said, but yeah, they were both very gracious. It was nice to see. And we'll move on to Keith, one-time Thurman, who we had on the show, and he was right. He said we predicted it. He KO'd in the 10th round Diego Gabriel Chavez for the WBA World Welterweight title. Plus, Keith got the $10,000 for the KO King of the night, of the fight night. That was pretty cool, huh, Prophet?
Very cool. The fact that, we had him on the show several weeks ago, and he's a very brash young man, not afraid to call out boxing's best. And I got to be honest with you, I thought Thurman struggled in spots. He had his nose severely injured in the 3rd round. He was actually stunned for the first time in his career that I can remember by a nice right hand by Chavez in the 4th. And going into the 10th round, on my scorecard, this is what I live for. Being a boxing prophet, you not only watch fights, but you gotta score them. You gotta put it on pause when you see violent shots landed, and you have to study every facet of the game. I had Thurman ahead only by a point. I had it 5 rounds to 4 for Keith going into the 10th round, and then he landed the left to the body with a minute left to go in the 10th round, and that hurt Chavez really, really badly. And the referee, Louis Pavon, counted him out 28 seconds into the 10th round, and Thurman did get the knockout victory. When he lands powerful shots, it's beautiful to watch, but he did struggle against Chavez. And now, if you go on to all the social media outlets, he has actually been calling out Adrian Broner everywhere I look. He wants Adrian Broner's welterweight championship, and I think that would be a very crowd-pleasing fight, especially now with Broner slugging it out with fighters instead of boxing. I don't know that Adrian Broner's chin can handle Keith Thurman's power. Very interesting.
That is interesting. And Paulie, what did you think of both fights? Both fights. The Figueroa, Arakawa, and the Thurman Chavez fight.
Well, I think starting with Thurman, that was certainly a fight that either him or Chavez needed to kind of show that they're ready to take that next step towards true contender status. There's been some questions, even though Thurman had a good level of opposition going into this fight, that he was facing good opponents, but good opponents at the right time. And I think this was somebody that was, basically essentially at the same level that he was, and there was a open question, could he face another live young contender like himself? And he answered that resoundingly, walking through fire, as Prophet noted, with the damaged nose early on, and just overall, bodes well for his ability to go against top 20, top 10 in that division. With Figueroa, I also concur that I put that number 2 fight of the year. I think for sheer drama, although they were trading shots ruthlessly in that fight, I mean, just the prospect of Timothy Bradley being laid out in either the first round or the last round, and everything that they did in between to make that a real just explosive fight locks that fight in for me. So, but that is a strong number 2. I'd be curious to see what could actually surpass that. We're only about halfway through the year, so I guess we'll have to see if any of the high-profile ones coming up or any sleepers somehow capture the imagination more than those 2 fights.
That's true. Okay, well, that's good. Good analysis. Prophet, anything else before we go to a commercial? And we're going to come back with Vinny Furlani, Art of Boxing Magazine. Anything else,
Yeah, sure.
Prophet?
Well, I just wanted to add, I might have made a mistake in the way Thurman scored the victory. He landed the left hook to Chavez's body with a minute left to go in the, I believe it was the 9th round. And then in the 10th round, he finished Chavez off with the right hand. Beautiful win for Thurman, and I think he deserves Broner. He deserves a shot at one of the welterweight champions, if not Broner, any of the other champs. And I think bigger and better days are ahead for Omar Figueroa, who is now officially a player in the lightweight division.
Right, you heard it here. That's our Showtime breakdown, and we will be back right after the commercial. But you can call us. Don't forget, you can call us at 347-324-5998. You can Twitter us at Real Combat Media, or just go to Facebook, Real Combat Media in the search bar. We will be back in a minute and 32 seconds after the commercial.
This is Real Combat Media Radio. Check us out at realcombatmedia.com. While you're there, check out the Feed the Poor link on the bottom of every article, and you can send a donation if you're interested. That is, once again, on the bottom of every article as well as on the top of the website. If you are an MMA, boxing, or fitness business and interested in sponsoring our website or radio podcast, send us an email. Advertising at realcombatmedia.com. Once again, that is advertising at realcombatmedia.com. Make sure to check out the Real Combat Media MMA and boxing store at the top of the menu at realcombatmedia.com. We carry a collection of products. We have the Cardio Mask, which is excellent for all fighters, endurance athletes, and serious fitness enthusiasts. Once you are in the Real Combat Media store, click on the banner on that page. We also carry Alpha Brain. Alpha Brain is a great and natural product which activates your brain's neurotransmitters and helps you think more clearly, which improves brain function. You can also purchase the world's healthiest plant protein, which comes from hemp. There are many other products online on the online store, and click on the On It banner at the Real Combat Media store, and you can purchase Alpha Brain and other health products. Use the discount code Real Combat Media, and you will receive 10% off at the checkout store on the On It. That is ONNIT on the banner at Real Combat Media store. Buckle up. Here we go. Let's get this show started.
Welcome back to Real Combat Media Boxing Radio, episode 23. I'm your host, Christy Rosario, still in Los Angeles, with the boxing prophet, Richard Solomon, and Paulie Haberman is here as our panel guest. And you can call us at 347-324-5998. Twitter us at Real Combat Media. My Twitter is BoxingGirl, BXINGIRL. Or Boxing Prophet 68, and then you can also get us on Facebook at Real Combat Media in the search bar. Now we are going to introduce, his name is Vinny Furlani. Hopefully I'm saying your name right. How are you, Vinny?
I'm doing great. Thank you, Christy. Good to hear from you.
Good to hear from you. Now you have the Art of Boxing magazine. Did I say that correctly?
That is correct, yes.
Okay.
Just released
Good.
it in April.
That is very exciting. I hear it's going to be on iTunes and the mobile apps, and tell us about it.
Yep, right now it's on the mobile app, the Apple Newsstand on the iPad. Within the next 7 to 21 days, it'll be available on the iPhone as part of the Apple Newsstand. There's a couple of things I'm doing in there. Mostly what I'm trying to produce is a magazine that's different from anything else out there. So there's a couple of things that I've done, from an entertainment standpoint. I've got a Where Are They Now section on boxers, looking back at some of the boxing greats and some of the where they are today, what they're doing today. I have a featured celebrity section, another entertainment part of the magazine in which we're featuring somebody or some type of thing, like we did famous gyms in the June-July issue, where we highlighted Angelo Dundee's Fifth Street Gym, Gleason's Gym in Brooklyn, and Kronk's Gym. Then we have a couple of educational pieces. One is a health and nutrition section that is for combat sports, so boxing, mixed martial arts, that type of nutrition building and type of energy building is certainly a lot different from what the weightlifter does in regards to health and nutrition. So we've got a section that focuses on, boxers and combat sports. And then lastly, I've got a section that I've released, kind of revealing the boxing system that I've taken. I learned from Floyd Patterson. For those young folks that don't recognize the name, he won a Olympic gold medal in 1952, and he was actually the first heavyweight champion ever to regain his title. I spent 11 years with him and his son, and I've taken what was a really ad hoc, unstructured lessons from him and put it into what I call a 10-point strategic boxing system, and that is a structured system of the technique and form that made him great in his day. He was a better teacher than he was fighter, and he was a former world champion fighter. Excited to be coming out with this, as like I mentioned, he is not only was teaching his fighters the form and technique. I have found when I look at the history of fights back, he was like 30, 40 pounds lighter than some of the opponents he had, and he knocks them out because his form was just truly magnificent. It leveraged his entire body from toe to fist in regards to leveraging every ounce of momentum he could build to release his punches in a powerful manner. And that's what we're kind of revealing in a structured form to help others, whether they be in boxing or mixed martial arts. You know, I focus on the hands and how to leverage the body for the most power in the punches.
Now, you said you were working with his son, too, so that's Tracy Harris Patterson, Floyd's son, correct? Right?
Yes.
And you just shot 2 videos you mentioned, so why don't you mention that? That sounds really cool.
Yep, we're about 30 or 60 days away from putting them out on a new website we're putting up. So keep your eye out on artofboxingtraining.com. The site is not up yet, but we shot 2 sets of videos. The first was each point in the 10-point system. The 10-point system is really the offensive mechanism of jab, cross, hook to the body, hook to the head, and uppercut, and then the defending points. But the system teaches the full execution and how it's so important to come back to your stance. Well, we did boxing lessons with Tracy on each of the 10 points, and then we also did a boxing video, which is going to be the first in a series of videos, and it's called Art of Boxing's Training Like a Champ. And Tracy is kind of the main figure. We've got a couple of ladies in the background, and they're doing an exhaustive workout. It's 40 minutes of shadow boxing, muscle building, other cardiovascular exercise during that time. Full 40 minutes solid workout. And I can tell you this: when we were shooting it, Tracy was feeling it too, and as everyone else was. I'm so confident it's going to be an excellent product out there. So I'd ask you all to keep an eye on it. How you can get to the magazine is artofboxingmag.com on your iPad.
Artofboxingmag, MAG.com?
Yes.
Or magazine? Okay,
yeah,
mag.
that gets you to the magazine. And then we're going to be obviously keeping folks updated on that website in regard to when the new website with the 2 video products are going to be coming out.
So now I know your passion is really heavyweights. So why is that? Why are heavyweights your main focus?
Well, I guess it has to do with the really drop down in popularity of the sport that I think is directly related to the heavyweight division not being. There's no captivating fighter. There's no one that people are going to see to say, hey, there's a good chance there's going to be a knockdown here. And the reason why I say that boxing would come back if there was a dynamic heavyweight fighter, not only the people I talk unsolicited, they tell me that exact same thing, but Floyd Mayweather as a welterweight was the highest paid athlete in 2012, and he generates the dollars, and he's not the heavyweight. If you put a captivating fighter in the heavyweight division, you absolutely would return that. Now, you can't keep throwing out bigger fighters that are not as athletic as, what the sport used to be. But if you teach the right technique, Joe Frazier, for instance, he was not a great athlete. He was a tremendously great fighter, though. and you go through the list of the different champions out there, they weren't necessarily going to ever hit a basketball court or a football field and, light up from a speed perspective or what have you. I truly think it's based on back to basics. If the fighters are learning the right way to leverage their punches and the proper way to defend themselves, that only brings for better fighting. And the reason why our fighters today are not as aggressive is because they realize they have such gaps in the game. If their opponent hits them, they're not going to have a way to necessarily defend themselves to the point where they can survive. I mean, a couple weeks ago there was a heavyweight fight on Showtime with the same night Brown fight, Adrian Brown fought. Jonathan Banks, Seth Mitchell. Round one, they were booing. Yeah. They were booing in round one. That breaks my heart because, I had grew up in a pretty, stable background, but I had my troubles and whatnot. And what boxing did to me was kind of made me the person I am today, hardworking, genuinely respectful of the different discipline in the sport, and, have been able to achieve a lot greater things because I learned the discipline in boxing, working, a full-time job, that, extra sales call you need to make, or that extra, sale you want to make at the end of the day. If you know what it's like to get up at 6 o'clock in the morning and run, and then come back at the gym after that and work out, making that extra call is really not that hard. And, that's what boxing has brought to me. So I want to return something to the sport, and there's not a lot of people that know what Floyd taught. You're talking Customato, Mike Tyson. He's not training fighters. He's involved somewhat in promotions right now, and he's just starting that. Teddy Atlas has now moved over to television. Kevin Rooney Sr. is really out of that picture. So the folks that were in that camp are either getting older and dying off.
Just a second. I just want to be clear so people know. Now, Customato was the trainer of Floyd Patterson. That's what you're saying, right?
Yes, correct.
Right.
And he also was the manager of Mike.
Not everybody knows that. And, Customato, most people know who he is, and Floyd Patterson. So putting those two together, and then having you, that was a former boxer, and now doing the Art of, magazine, is really, you're getting all that knowledge into this magazine, which I think is fantastic. And, and I know that, like you're saying, that there's not really a big heavyweight division, and that's what you're going to be kind of focusing on. And you had mentioned earlier, I think you mentioned something about, who was it? It was Cooney, right? That you met him and that he's going to come and watch you?
Basically, I was on Sirius Radio this Friday night, and Jerry Cooney does a show with Randy Gordon. Randy Gordon was the former New York State Athletic Commissioner. He has broadcasted as color commentator in the New York Golden Gloves for years back in the 80s and 90s. He did USA fighting. So he's got an extensive background. And when they interviewed me and asked me a lot of the questions that you're asking regarding the technique, Randy turned it around to Jerry and said, "What do you think?" And Jerry basically said, "I like what he's saying. I agree with what he's saying. I need to see him in a gym to make sure that what he's saying he can actually deliver on." And I've invited him for that meeting, and Randy Gordon said, "I'd like to take part in that meeting too." So hopefully in the next 30 or 60 days we're going to arrange that, in which I can demonstrate to somebody that can say, yes, that's it. Because in a lot of cases, I don't know if you remember back a while ago, Ed Too Tall Jones, the football player, decides he wants to get into boxing. You can't just bless yourself as a boxer and get in the ring. It takes a lot more skill set and a lot more discipline to do that. That means you got to start fighters at novice amateurs, move them up to the open class amateurs, take them through a progression that when they're going to get on the stage, they're ready. So in some cases, it's like a 5 to 7 year project. In other cases, because in that case, I love to have a fighter that has no bad habits. And where they have no bad habits is they have not boxed before. but you can still tweak the habits of someone that's got a little experience. In some cases, it's like, moving the leg angle a little bit different, leveraging the torso a little different. It's almost like a pitching coach in the sport of baseball is able to correct the pitcher that's having a problem because he notices the shoulder is a half an inch down further than it should be. I've got that technical expertise with boxing, and not a lot of people have discussed or even able to comprehend and understand that. So for the fan, I'm looking at, making you aware of it by reading the Art of Boxing magazine and the 10-point system. You have some understanding of it. And from the fighter perspective, it's to bring it, and there's almost instant results as you start to tweak your technique to execute on the proper format.
And now that the amateurs are actually, everyone is being judged with the 10-point must system. Do you think it can go down to the amateurs, what you're talking about, as far as, how to judge the 10-point must system?
Well, the 10-point must system and the 10-point strategic boxing system are a little different. The 10-point must system is a scoring mechanism for fighters. And, in fact, in the amateurs, they used to have a 20-point must system. But they have changed that.
When they went down to the computers. But I know they're two different things that we're talking about, but you're kind of talking about your 10-point must system, and I'm talking about the judging, but maybe you can teach someone to box to your 10-point must system to beat the regular 10-point must system, and I don't even know if that makes sense. Are you following me?
I'm following you. In the amateurs, they decided if they had 5 judges, and 3 of them hit the button within a second of each other, a point would be scored, not realizing that judge that's biased from another country just doesn't hit the button when the person scores, so they can affect the score in a different way. I'm more talking about an execution.
That's gone now, but that's gone. Now they're doing the same as the pros, the 10-point must system, as far as judging. So I was wondering, the way you teach now, your 10-point must system, could you apply that to the amateurs to help them win, just like in the pros?
Absolutely. It's a matter of being able to execute your punches and defend yourself against punches. That's what my system teaches. And the boxing stance is, it seems like a very insignificant thing, but it's so important because the way I teach the sport, you can throw any punch or defend yourself at any punch at any time, because every time you throw a punch, you're returning to that stance, which allows you to defend yourself or throw more punches. And every time you defend yourself against a punch, you're in that counterpunch mode. You see too many times a guy duck back out of the punching range. My style is saying, hey, that guy's going to miss their jab at you. They're going to miss it by 2 inches. But because you're only missing that punch by 2 inches, you're right in the rib cage of your opponent, and you're not 24 inches away from them where you make them miss the punch, but you can't counter the punch.
Right. Well, it sounds fantastic. We're going to look forward to hearing back from you when you have, Jerry Cooney going over there and, validating what you're doing. I'm sure that would be a big validation for you, wouldn't it?
Absolutely. I've got my fingers crossed that we're going to be able to make this a reality, and I think a lot of things will start to come into place after that. When Tracy Patterson's already basically said, hey, this is the system. Vinny articulates it the best. But when you take somebody that's outside of that camp, like a Jerry Cooney, who's well known and has accomplished great things in boxing, and they say, this is the right system. It kind of puts it all in the validation piece, which is something I need right now.
Yeah, it sounds fantastic. So tell everybody. So it's the artofboxingmag.com. Is that how they get a hold of you?
Yep. And right now, like I said, it's available on the Apple Newsstand through the iPad. Within the next couple of weeks, it'll be available on the Apple Newsstand through the iPhone, iPod, or iPad. And like I said, we're going to do Art of Boxing training, so keep your eyes out. Google it once in a while. We're going to have the videos released. Like I said, we just filmed them within the last couple of days, so we're in the process of starting the production on that. and we'll have a bunch of good stuff for the folks that want to learn the sport the right way.
Now, is there a fee for them to get this app?
It's $1.99 a month on the subscription. They actually offer a free trial 7 days for a monthly subscription or a annual subscription. We give you 30 days. We also give you the April issue for free. So it gives you a good opportunity to try it, see if you like it, and then, it's certainly not painful at $1.99 on an iTunes store, for which you can get for a song or two. You can get some good boxing entertainment, some good information, and the ability to look at the sport a different way.
Well, that sounds fantastic. So the artofboxingmag.com, and then you can get it on tablet or on iTunes, and we're going to be looking for this. I think it sounds fantastic, Vinny. And I want to thank you so much for coming on today on Real Combat Media Boxing Radio.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me. You have a great night.
Well, you too, Vinny. Thank you. And we're going to come back after the commercial break. Have a good one. 1 minute and 32 seconds. Don't go away.
This is Real Combat Media Radio. Check us out at realcombatmedia.com. While you're there, check out the Feed the Poor link on the bottom of every article, and you can send a donation if you're interested. That is, once again, on the bottom of every article as well as on the top of the website. If you are an MMA, boxing, or fitness business and interested in sponsoring our website or radio podcast, send us an email. Advertising at realcombatmedia.com. Once again, that is advertising at realcombatmedia.com. Make sure to check out the Real Combat Media MMA and boxing store at the top of the menu at realcombatmedia.com. We carry a collection of products. We have the Cardio Mask, which is excellent for all fighters, endurance athletes, and serious fitness enthusiasts. Once you are in the Real Combat Media store, click on the banner on that page. We also carry Alpha Brain. Alpha Brain is a great and natural product which activates your brain's neurotransmitters and helps you think more clearly, which improves brain function. You can also purchase the world's healthiest plant protein, which comes from hemp. There are many other products online on the online store, and click on the On It banner at the Real Combat Media store, and you can purchase Alpha Brain and other health products. Use the discount code Real Combat Media, and you will receive 10% off at the checkout store on the On It. That is ONNIT on the banner at Real Combat Media store. Buckle up. Here we go. Let's get this show started.
Welcome back to Real Combat Media Boxing Radio, episode 23. I'm your host, Christy Rosario, here in Los Angeles with the Boxing Prophet from New York. You can call us at 347-324-5998. Twitter us at Real Combat Media. My Twitter is BoxingGirl, BXINGIRL. Prophet's Twitter is BoxingProphet68. Or go to Facebook, Real Combat Media in the search bar. We are back. We've had interesting guests today. We had Devon Alexander, Buddy McGIRT, Vinny Furlani on his 10-point system for boxing, and we're back. And I wanted to mention that Pacquiao and Rios are going on a 23,722-mile media circuit. So that's going to be pretty fantastic. Let's see where they're going to be. On Wednesday, July 31st, tomorrow, they're going to be at the Four Seasons in Shanghai at the Ballroom. Saturday, August 3rd, they're going to be in Singapore at the Marina Bay Sands. On Monday, August 5th, they'll be at the ESPN headquarters in Bristol, Connecticut. Tuesday, August 6th at 3 p.m., they'll be in New York press conference, Zhong Fong Restaurant. I guess that's Chinatown, isn't it, Prophet? Zhong Fong Restaurant?
I believe so. And if
20 Elizabeth Street. So that should be Chinatown right there. And then Thursday, August 8th at noon, they will be in Los Angeles at the Beverly Hills Hotel at the Crystal Ballroom. So if you are interested, you can go to one of those locations and see Pacquiao and Rios. Sounds pretty exciting. What do you think of that fight coming up, Prophet?
I love it. I'm still waiting to see who's going to participate on the undercard. Rumors are circulating that Rigondeaux might find his way onto the undercard. And a lot of people are counting Brandon Rios out. It's amazing. Last time I checked, Manny Pacquiao was knocked unconscious. You don't know mentally how he's going to respond. I mean, that's one of the most brutal knockouts you'll ever see. I mean, obviously, people who are fans of Manny Pacquiao will say, well, up until the point where he was knocked out, he was winning the fight. And on my scorecard, he was ahead of Juan Manuel Marquez before Marquez landed the shot heard around the world. But I don't know. Brandon Rios has that crowd-pleasing style. He's going to be in Pacquiao's face. If I'm Freddie Roach, I may, teach Manny Pacquiao a few tricks. Manny Pacquiao might have to box a little bit, and he can box. He's shown in previous fights that he can box and he can move if he wants. Now, Pacquiao's a very prideful guy, and he loves to give the fans their money's worth, but let's get real. He has stunk out the joint before. The victory over Joshua Clottey was very boring. He needs to kind of go back to that sort of fighting. I don't think he wants Brandon Rios to lure him into a street fight because psychologically and physically, you don't know if Manny Pacquiao has recovered from the knockout loss to Juan Manuel Marquez. I'm not saying, I don't want people to say, Prophet, are you telling Manny Pacquiao to get soft and box and move? No. Of course he's going to have to engage Rios in warfare in the trenches and fight like a man, but you don't have to fight like a man for every second of every round. He's got a good jab. He's got much better foot movement than Rios, and I think it would help Pacquiao to make this fight easier if he can box and move. And Brandon Rios will probably expend a lot of energy trying to cut off the ring. Russ will get tired, and maybe Pacquiao could finish him late. But a lot of people guarantee a Pacquiao knockout victory. I'm not so sure. As a matter of fact, I'm more confident that Floyd Mayweather beats Canelo Alvarez than I am that Manny Pacquiao beats Brandon Rios. I give Rios a better shot at Pac-Man than I do Cinnamon Boy upsetting Floyd Mayweather.
Yeah, well, Rios is coming to fight. It's going to definitely, if Pacquiao lets it happen, it could be a brawl. Could you picture that happening? What do you think, Prophet? Would they brawl? I don't think Pacquiao would brawl.
I think it all depends. Brandon Rios, first of all, let it be known that Brandon Rios, for the most part, is a very, very slow starter. He comes out and he doesn't find his game till usually about the fourth or the fifth round, unless his opponent's in his face and willing to go to war with him. I remember when he fought Miguel Acosta for the first 4 or 5 rounds. Acosta put on a boxing clinic, dominated, and Rios rallied from behind, was down on the scorecards. He rallied from behind and scored the come-from-behind knockout win. I think Pacquiao's got to take a page out of Acosta's playbook and Mike Alvarado, meaning that you can not only can you brawl with Rios, but you could also box. You could also outbox Rios. So do a little bit of what Alvarado did. You got to earn Rios' respect and brawl with him. And he has a huge, one thing about Pac-Man going into this fight, he has a huge advantage in hand speed. Rios does have power, but for every one punch Rios lands, Pacquiao is going to land 4 in return. He's got a huge edge in hand speed, so throw the jab, throw meaningful combinations, and move from side to side, throw punches from angles, and you have the capability of making it an easier fight, like a lot of Pacquiao fans think it should be. But if he just wants to prove that, he's a man and that the Marquez knockout was a fluke, an apparition, and he goes in there with no jab and tries to knock out Rios to make a statement, I think he's in for a much tougher fight than people expect. So the moral in this story, Christy, is Manny, box a little bit. Forget about brawling and trying to please your fans and your countrymen that adore you. You need to live to fight another day. I'm not saying don't brawl with Rios, brawl in spots, but also box.
Well, that's a good breakdown, Prophet. So we're going to tell Manny that the Prophet says make sure that you box. Is that all the advice you have, or what else could we tell Pacquiao for you?
I actually want, if I could speak to him, I would tell him that I applaud him for taking such a dangerous fight after the Marquez loss. I figured to get his confidence back, he would maybe take a top 20 guy, but a guy who's unquestionably, one of the 5 or 6 best fighters in that weight class in the world. It's pretty good of Pacquiao to take that fight. I think he's got a lot to prove. It's a dangerous fight for him, and we'll see what happens. I only hope and pray, and I've said this about the Mayweather-Canelo fight, I just hope and pray that if the fight goes the distance and, Rios deserves to win, they don't hand-wrap a decision for Pacquiao that many people suspect they might do for Canelo if he keeps it close against Mayweather. I just want justice to prevail. I always want the right guy to get the decision victory. So let's just hope the judges don't have a say in either one of those fights.
I agree. We just want what's fair and what's right. And, with Pacquiao, I think he just got caught. I don't think he's any lesser of a fighter, and I think you're going to see it in the next fight. So we shall see. But let's move on because we have a few more topics. And I wanted to talk about have you been listening about the kind of the Olympic controversy with the IOC, the International Olympic Committee, Prophet? Have you heard anything regarding well, it seems like it's not just women's boxing for the weight classes. Right now we have 112, 132, and 165 pounds in the Olympics, and we were hoping to have more weight classes for 2016. But the International Olympic Committee just had an executive board discussion on the topic of possible modifications to disciplines and events. So they have quotas and competition formats at the 2016 Olympic Games. And, what they're saying is that they don't want it to be a cost to them. So if thereby adding to the cost and complexity of the Games, then they would not be considered. At a later stage, the IOC will study the quota-neutral requests already made by the international federations for either a swap of event or modification of competition format. So what they're saying, it's not just saying, okay, we don't want women's boxing. They're not saying that. They're saying if you could come as a federation with a proposal and say, like, we will drop one weight class of the men's weight classes. Let's say right now there's 10. Let's say we will have 8 or 7, and then we'll add one more or 2 more for women's boxing. The International Olympic Committee may consider that. They would probably consider that because it really wouldn't be a cost to them. Just like women's wrestling, there's only 4 weight classes in women's wrestling, only 1 more than women's boxing, and they aren't considering women's wrestling as well. So if AIBA, AIBA for boxing, could propose to them, then it's a possibility. But it doesn't look like there's any proposing going on right now, and that's what women's boxing is worried about, because we would like to have more weight class in the Olympics. In the last Olympics in 2012, we had 10 weight classes for men, 3 for women. 2 weight classes came back with medals. We had 112, Marlon Esparza got the bronze. 165 pounds, Clarissa Shields got the gold. None of the men got any medals. The Prophet, doesn't it make sense that women's boxing should have more weight classes in the next Olympics?
I agree with you, and not every American represents all the weight classes from the male perspective. Not a lot of Americans make it to the Olympic team, and it's a shame because you speak to a lot of fans and knowledgeable people like Teddy Atlas and others have gone on the air saying that we had a horrible Olympics in 2012 because no one brought home a medal, totally forgetting that 2 women who you just mentioned medaled. So in hindsight, the American boxing team brought home 2 medals, but because they're women, no one remembers. I think it's disgraceful. I think both women should be proud, and it saddens me that both of them haven't turned pro. They've shown no inclination whatsoever to make the transition from amateur to pros. But I think if there's room for more weight classes for women, then they should. Women should have 4 to 5 weight classes. If you can have 10 weight classes for men, there's no reason why you can't have 5 for women, or even shorten, like you said, the men's weight classes. There's no reason to have and in the amateurs as well as the pros. There's too many weight divisions in boxing, period. I think in the professional ranks there are 17 weight classes. It's a joke. You only really need 7 or 8, to be honest with you. But to answer your question, I think if they should take a look, the IOC and all the powers that be should take a long look into this, and they should add more weight classes and give more women an opportunity to medal for their country. But these are the same people that want to ban, wrestling from the Olympics in the future, and that's one of the most prestigious sports around. So I don't understand sometimes what's on the mind of the Olympic committees. I think it's all politics, and something just stinks to me.
Okay, well, I agree with you as far as Teddy Atlas. Some of his commentating was pretty disgusting. He'd be watching a women's fight and talking about her personal life. I think that if you're there to commentate, then commentate. Break down the fights. Do what you do normally. Don't sit there and talk about a woman's personal life. And for him to just totally disregard, if that's the truth, because I haven't heard it until now, if he disregarded that we had, 2 women that were phenomenal and that brought back medals. What I don't agree with you on, Prophet, is I don't think that women should have to turn pro. I think being an Olympian for me, would be like such an achievement. So if they want to stay amateur and go to the 2016 Olympics, like Marlon Esparza, she's had so many sponsors right now. She's just in the ESPN magazine, Body magazine. Clarissa Shields can be honored next week. I think they should stay amateur, hone their skills, and go to the Olympics. You're talking about wrestling. It is, like boxing, one of the oldest events, and it's such a shame that they're thinking of taking it out, and I'm hoping that's not true. Maybe it's just a rumor. They took out baseball. They took out softball. These are sports that should have stayed in the Olympics. Instead of putting more gymnastics, more swimming events, let's have the events that are still there, that were there before, baseball, softball, give more events to wrestling. Let women's boxing have a fair chance with more events. If you are interested in signing a petition that Sue Fox from WBAN.org, Women's Boxing Archive Network, set up, you can go to her website, WBAN.org, O-R-G, and sign the petition, and hopefully it will do some good. Maybe, Dr. Wu of AIBA or the IOC will see these petitions and realize that we have to think a little differently, a little outside the box to make it fair. I mean, right now we have 12.6% rate for women's boxing compared to the men. For wrestling, it's the next lowest. It's 22%, relating to the men. It's just, when you look at the athlete numbers, most sports have 50% women and 50% men. We don't. So I believe that, times are changing. Unfortunately, they're changing a little too slow. I'm hoping for, people to change their minds. You think it's going to happen soon, Prophet?
I hope so, but what you were saying was you're a proud American, and it's great, and women should be proud to represent their country. Rasheed Warren could have gone pro, but he decided to represent the men's Olympic boxing team on 3 separate different Olympics, which is unheard of. So kudos goes to him. But getting to my point is that, if the female fighters had been around and they were allowed to compete in the Olympics back in the days when Lucia Riker, Christy Martin, Layla Ali, and Mia St. John were all household names, then this might have given more incentive for a girl like Clarissa Shields to turn pro, because she could have made a lot of money fighting any of those 4 names that I just mentioned. But it just seems that professional boxing, in terms of being a female fighter, has kind of lost its popularity, and now you have Ronda Rousey making UFC so popular. It's sort of like the professional female boxers have lost their way with all that's going on in the UFC, unfortunately.
Oh, well, see, I disagree with you in that, too. Excuse me, I'm like losing my voice. Because I don't think women's professional boxing or women's amateur boxing has lost anything. There's just not a whole lot of money to be made as a fighter. You know, the very few make a lot of money. You have, you know, Canelo and Mayweather. You have the top. You have Mia St. John that's made some money. You have some fighters that make money, and then you have a lot that start off with, $200 a round for 4 rounds. And unfortunately, you know, women's boxing, they're not making a lot of money. And I'm a strong believer of the amateurs. Get your experience in amateur. Anybody can become pro. All you have to do is get your physical, your license, and you're a professional boxer. To win a nationals, to be an Olympian, like you said, Rau'shee Warren, 3-time Olympian. That is a record. It's unheard of. And now he was much more marketable when he went pro because he did have the 3 Olympics. You know, and now we can segue over to AIBA doing the pro boxing. I mean, they have everything now. They have AOB, AIBA Open Boxers, which are 19 to 40-year-olds. They have the APB, the AIBA Pro Boxing, and they have WSB, World Series of Boxing. All of these entities now in AIBA can go to the Olympics, and they're trying to welcome pro boxers. What do you think of that, Prophet?
Yeah, as an American, I think it's a disgrace, and people will always say the other side of the story, that the Russians do it, the Cubans do it. Why don't we do it? Well, you know, part of the Olympics is you're an amateur. You know, one of my favorite sports moments of all time, as I'm sure it is yours, was when the 1980 U.S. Olympic hockey team beat the Russians. Why? They were kids. They were college kids.
I love that. Yay! You're right, Prophet. That was fantastic. I loved it.
From Boston, from Boston College and Boston University in Minnesota, you know, and watching Andre Ward and Oscar De La Hoya win gold medals as amateurs for their country against, you know, professionals from other countries, that was great. You know, let the communist countries send in all the professionals they want. I don't want to see Andre Ward as a professional school, someone from Kazakhstan or from Cuba to bring home a gold medal. It's not an inspiring story. I want to see a kid who goes to the gym, whose name you've never heard of, suddenly appear out of the blue and medal. You know, and I just put it this way: if they ever send the pros to Olympic boxing, I may boycott it. And till this day, Christy, I've never watched one of the Dream Team's games in the NBA. I think it's a disgrace. You know, basketball does it. Hockey's starting to send their professionals into the Olympics, and I don't think boxing should do it. You know, as far as the Americans go, let the amateurs, let kids build up a name for themselves, like you had said. Go to the Olympic boxing program and shine. We don't need professional athletes to participate, as far as I'm concerned, and this is just my opinion, in any sport. Not only boxing, but all Olympic sports should be college athletes or, you know, inexperienced kids trying to make a name for themselves. They shouldn't be professional.
I agree, because, you know, I love the Olympics, and I told you probably millions of times that I really want to see I want to see amateurs in the Olympics. I want it to be like a special little entity, but now, like you're saying, tennis has the pros, the Dream Team, and it just doesn't make it as fun, even though I still love the Olympics. It makes me sad. So we'll see. I mean, maybe Vladimir Klitschko will be in the Olympics in 2016, and that would be kind of bizarre, don't you think?
Very, very, very odd. I hope it doesn't happen. Put it that way.
Well, if it does, it's kind of out of our control, but we can sign the petition to see if hopefully Dr. Wu from AIBA will fight harder to, you know, get more women's weight classes for boxing in the Olympics for 2016. He's not going to be, well, maybe he will, but he is going for the presidency for the IOC, so I know he's pretty busy right now. But I'm hoping if he makes president, he will remember the women's boxing and women, you know, remember all of their plight and try and help them get more weight classes. Because it's only fair, and people are going to have tons of arguments about this, but I believe that they should have women's boxing was the last counterpart to be put in to the Olympics. Every other sport had men in it and women except for women's boxing. So let's make it totally fair and have at least as close to possible as equal weight classes. So you can go to WBAN.org. That's Sue Fox's website, and she's been fantastic. She always puts up our press releases, and she's such a supporter of everybody as far as, boxers and trainers and coaches, and a great website, Women's Boxing Archive Network.org. And Prophet, we should move on because we only have 5 minutes, and I want to mention, and I know you'll probably want to talk about this, NBC Sports Network Fight Night on August 3rd at the Mohegan Sun Arena. And we have Curtis Stevens, who I remember as an amateur was fantastic, versus Saul Roman, Eddie Chambers versus Tabiso Menchunu. How do you pronounce his last name, Prophet? I'm sorry.
Yes, it's a tongue twister. I think it's Manchuno.
Manchunu. Okay, Mchunu. Tabiso Manchunu. I should know who this is. I'm sorry. And Tomas Adamek versus, it says Tony Grano, but that's wrong. I looked up boxing record and it did Dominic Gwynn. So Tomas Adamek in the heavyweight division versus Dominic Gwynn. What do you think of this fight card?
Yeah, I think it's a showcase for the most part. I think Roman was brought in for Curtis Stevens to shine. Curtis Stevens is, after losing to Jesse Brinkley, Curtis Stevens is on a 3-fight winning streak in which he knocked out Johnson and Ayala in the first round and scored an impressive victory over Derek Finley in his last fight. This is a fight where he's made to shine, and I think he's going to make a statement. I'd be surprised if the fight goes more than 4 rounds. I like Curtis Stevens easily by a 4th-round TKO. Adamek, you don't know. The jury's still out on Adamek. He's had a tough couple of fights in a row. He was in an unexpected war with Travis Walker, who's a journeyman. And then I thought he got a gift decision against Steve Cunningham. I scored the fight for Cunningham. They gave it to Adamek. But for all intents and purposes, Dominic wins a shot fighter who's basically a stepping stone for young heavyweights. If Adamek has anything left in the tank, he should beat Gwynn relatively easy. I think he'll go for the stoppage. I don't think he'll be content just to win a workmanlike decision. So look for Adamek to stop Gwynn in the middle rounds, maybe round 7 or 8. And the best fight on the card is definitely Eddie Chambers, who finally made the wise decision of moving down to cruiserweight. He was a heavyweight who really dominated Povetkin, one of the current heavyweight champions in the world, for the first 3 or 4 rounds. And then, I don't know, mentally he just lost it. Povetkin went on to win that fight. Chambers also lost to Klitschko and Tomas Adamek. And he's in against a guy with a good record, who's got a lot of power, is not known in the United States, but it's basically going to be Eddie Chambers' speed versus the other kid's power. If Chambers if he doesn't bring his A game, he might lose. This could be an upset specialty. I could see Chambers getting knocked down early, but then boxing his way to a very, very, very razor-thin majority decision. I think Chambers escapes. He gets dropped early, but manages to box his way to a razor-thin majority decision. So look for Adamek and Curtis Stevens to score TKO victories respectively, and look for Eddie Chambers to get in what some people might say a very unpopular majority decision victory.
Wow, there we have the Boxing Prophets prophecies. Do you want to repeat those so we can put them in the books? So you have Curtis Stevens.
Yep. Curtis Stevens should win by TKO round 4. Adamek should win TKO 7, and Chambers should struggle, rise off the canvas after getting knocked down early, and win by a razor-thin majority decision.
All right. Well, you heard it here first. I can't believe our 2 hours is done now, Prophet. So I look forward to talking to you next week. I hope you have a good week, Prophet.
I hope you do too. If I could just make one more comment before we leave the air that I think is important.
You have 30 seconds.
All right, I just wanted to say that if Berto had survived the 12th round, because this has been going through my head all day, Soto Karass would have won a majority decision. One judge would have had it 113-113, and the other two judges would have had it 115-111 and 114-112 for Karass. So Karass would have won a majority decision. That's if Berto would have survived the 12th round, which I don't think he would have anyway. But I just wanted to throw that in for all of the fans to know.
All right, that's past our time, so join us next week with Real Combat Media Boxing Radio, 4 to 6 Pacific and 7 to 9 East Coast. See you next week. Have a good week. Bye-bye.